and welcome to The Black Sheep Show. I'm the creator and host, Amanda, and I know it's been a while since I've dropped some new content on the Black Sheep platform, but being under quarantine due to the COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of things are put into perspective for me. During this climate of civil unrest and social anxiety in general, what better time than now than to bring back this platform where people who look like me have the opportunity to voice their opinion and provide insights on the things that are affecting us in our everyday lives at this moment. Joining me today, I have a group of creative Black intellectuals. I have Edwuan, Robin, and Luke, and now I'm going to give them the opportunity to introduce themselves to you guys.
How's it going, y'all? I'm Edwuan, currently dwelling in Richmond, born and raised in the MIA. I've been a community organizer and activist for 5 years now, and a political organizer for the last 3.
Hi everybody, my name is Robin. I am a hospitality professional and an event planner creator as well. Born and raised in Miami.
I'm a music video director, visual artist, photographer. Born and raised in Miami, and reside in Miami still.
Our first topic that we're going to discuss is Black Lives Matter, or should I say All Black Lives Matter, which has taken a rise on social media due to the erasure of trans and women's lives when discussing police brutality. I'm going to open the floor to you guys to dive in.
The whole climate right now is just, this whole year has been kind of shining light on a lot of stuff that's wrong in society. And this moment is just giving us a picture as to like why cis, heteronormative patriarchy is kind of giving us this framework of just kind of focusing on centering themselves, or kind of secondary, looking at violence against women in a minimal sense, but not even taking the time to look at, or looking at trans people as humans, or looking at homosexual people or anybody in the LGBTQ2 community as humans. So right now, with all these people down for police brutality or just general violence, you're seeing the norm of men mostly center themselves and only able to see themselves in the victim.
Right. Just agreeing with what he said, I just think that it's very easy because even if you take racism out of the equation, the Black community is still very patriarchal. And so it's hard, I think, and it shouldn't be, but it's hard for not just Black men, but also as a cis Black woman, for us to look outside of the things that we think affect us disproportionately. And it's hard for us to not center ourselves as victims. Obviously, Black men feel like they are disproportionately targeted by police, which of course we can say based on statistics or whatever that Black men tend to be policed more, and they tend as a result of that to be murdered more. But the police affect Black women and Black trans people in other ways, which is rape, sexual assault, not responding to domestic violence calls. Like there are other ways that Black women and Black trans people are also affected by police violence. But whenever we have like an example of the shooting of George Floyd, and there's like this national and worldwide movement, at the same time we have Black women, Black trans people that are murdered and nobody says anything. And even if we look at some other like female victims of police killings, so we look at Sandra Bland, we look at Atiana Jefferson, like all these women also that have been killed by police, and never on like a scale that we have now with the killing of George Floyd has anyone stepped up or said anything. Like, so it's really us taking a step back and deciding that we're going to say something for ourselves as Black women, as Black trans people, and then being told by men who are kind of at the helm of this right now, it's not time. And so then it turns into internalized fighting amongst us of like, if the time is not now, then when is it going to be?
Right.
I agree with a few points that Robin and Luke both touched on. I think that we focus a lot on Black men in particular because we are reinforcing the narrative of how valuable a man is when it comes to the reincarnation of slavery as it stands today. When we look back in that time period, women were not always treated the same way that men were. Men always got worse. Men were sold for higher prices and things of that nature. So we continue to chastise and blast that type of view to reinforce that narrative of the black man's value in that respect, at least around slavery aspects of it. Now, when it comes to women and trans people in general, I think we as a collective, as a community, have a responsibility to be able to speak on those situations and those particular items when they do happen, more so because that is us taking responsibility for us. And there's not a white media in this world that's going to stand here and actually blast those things out because it doesn't reinforce their narrative. It's easier for them to target black men because it's happening in a plethora. They can do that every day for the rest of the year if they wanted to. By comparison to with women, you put them in a completely different category altogether. They still want to diminish the black woman or the black trans individual altogether. We have a problem within our own communities to even address the LGBTQ community as an entire human being in some respects. And that is also a reason we do have to take our own fault in that respect as well as a community and say, hey, we don't take the time to talk about these things. And as a community, we definitely should. It would be better for us to do so, to be honest, for us to all be open with each other. If we want to stand together in this thing and eradicate the institutions of systematic, institutionalized racism and all of the things that come along with that, then we have to be able to work collectively together to address our inner issues, to counter off of what Robin just said, so that we can take care of the greater good, instead of just focusing on the squabbles within ourselves.
Right. I also feel like those squabbles are healthy and important conversations to have.
Absolutely.
Like Robin mentioned, women are also killed by the police. Trans people are also killed by the police. The names that I mentioned before starting off the show, Breonna Taylor, she was killed 96 days ago. They broke into her house while she was asleep and shot her 8 times.
Right.
Not to say that her life mattered less than George Floyd's, but like Robin said, it galvanized nobody
Right.
on the scale.
Keep that same energy, right?
Right.
Keep the same energy.
Keep that same
That's
energy.
the point that I'm trying to make.
Yeah.
It didn't galvanize anyone on the collective scale to want to fight police brutality, dismantle white supremacy as it's manifested in the police system. My thing is, and back to my previous point, I feel like those conversations are necessary.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that often on social media, those conversations of women saying, hey, we matter too, we're being killed too, we're affected by police brutality too. Don't just pray for your black men and your black boys, pray for your little black girls as well.
Right.
Pray for the women as well. Pray for the ones who don't identify as heterosexual as well. Pray for the ones who don't identify as cisgendered as well. Because even though they're not, they don't fall into certain categories, their life still matters. And I feel like I said, when we bring these topics up, often it's met with aggression. Now's not the time. Our common enemy is white supremacy, not.
But then when is the time though? When
Exactly.
do we take the time to stop and say, hey, we need to address this as a whole. We need to talk about these things. And even more so for me, when we think of black community and we look at how we raise our children, at least from what I've seen, I grew up in a single parent household myself. And I know that sons are raised very different than daughters.
Of course.
The son is very much coddled by mom, and the woman is raised to be a strong-willed individual. And within that context, within that derivative, we lose women so much, even though they sit at the bottom of the totem pole by technicality, in this hierarchical system that we have. You look at it's literally white men, white women, then black men, and then black women take the bottom totem pole of all of that. Y'all take the brunt of the shit, and then you don't get the credit for it when you stand as strong as you are. And all of you is as strong as you are. It blows my mind. But we do need to talk about those things. We need to be able to have those communal conversations and say, hey, I'm addressing you as an entire human being.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with your point that even as women, like I saw so many posts about praying for black men, and I'm a mother praying for my son and XYZ, and it was disappointing because it's like, okay, are you praying for yourself, sis? Are you praying for your daughter? Are you praying for your sister? Are you praying for your mom? Like, we not only, somebody made a comment that we as black women, we are in a pandemic, living inside of another pandemic. So there are so many things that we're worried about. Obviously, COVID is affecting our community way more than it's affecting a lot of communities due to, you know, and obviously the government's going to be quick to blame it on like health issues, but it's like, why is the Black community disproportionately affected by health issues? Like, we can get to that conversation. And so we have to deal with the result of that pandemic. We have to deal with, you know, being shot down by the police also. We have to deal with being assaulted by the police also. We have to deal with being assaulted either in our homes or out on the street by, more than likely, by men that look like us, men that we have grown up around, men that we know, you know. So it's not just enough to say that we'll get to our issues, we'll get to y'all issues later. Like, there is no later, you know. And I think when you look at movements in this country as a whole, if you go from slavery to Jim Crow to Reconstruction, if you go all the way down to the Civil Rights Movement, women have always been at the forefront. We've always had a plan. We've always, you know, had something to say. We've always kind of stood in front, but always kind of had our issues or our respective, whatever else it was that we were fighting for, on top of Black liberation, kind of put to the side.
On that, just the fact that Black women have always played almost like a second-class citizen in all of these movements as well. You can't liberate all Black men and not liberate Black women as well. You can't do that without liberating Black trans lives as well. If we all want to seek that liberation as a goal, then we have to make sure we do it for everyone, not just those who we hold at the helm of the process.
Right. Right. Yeah. I think it's important for us as a community to look at the most marginalized of us. So that is our disabled community, that is our LGBTQ community, that is our low and poor class communities, and kind of take them like on our backs, because that's the way literally that we all get free. And especially because, again, so many of them have provided us rights in the fight for their own rights at the same time. It's never been them just fighting for themselves. So I think it's unfair as Black men, as straight Black women, to look back and say, yeah, you need to save your issues for another time, because when they fight and they get free, we all get free.
Sometimes it can be daunting having a conversation with my boys, just like about, you know, checking themselves and unlearning a lot of bullshit and letting go of a lot of conditioning that we all have. Like, and I'm still working through myself, and I get a lot of pushback. Like, and I get like niggas telling me that I'm preaching or I'm on my soapbox, or I want them to be followers, and it's just like, yo, this is coming from a place of love and care, because I don't just want to cut off all my homeboys, because pretty much like 99% of the men I know have their minds full of bullshit, or they're always coming from the wrong angle when important topics like this come up, and it's like stressful, like trying to keep repeating shit to niggas. So it's like trying to balance that patience, and but also understanding like it's not that bad for me, because I'm still a beneficiary of all these things. So I might as well do the work of talking to these dudes instead of complaining about having to talk to them, because I'm not dealing with the harm that they're causing.
I'm glad you brought that up about the patience in men talking to other men, because let me tell you something. At this point, I don't have the patience. I'm not talking to y'all niggas. I'm not talking to y'all pick-me bitches, patriarchal princesses, you homophobes, transphobes. I really don't have, you know, the patience to educate you, to break it down, or to like basically argue about my humanity as a Black woman and someone else's humanity for whatever it is that they identify as. It's hard enough already living through it, having to navigate through oppression and these different systems, whether it's in the corporate setting, at home, dealing with your male partner, but due to patriarchy and expectations that comes with, then to have to go out into the world and to defend my experiences and my plight that I deal with on a daily basis, to get somebody to see that I'm a human, to get someone to see, to have empathy with me. I don't have the patience for that. You can call that whatever you want.
Right. That sounds like a you problem.
It sounds like a you problem, and there's so much information out here on our fingertips. I don't know if any of y'all ever watched my previous shows. I stress this. Google is free, and almost all of us have a smartphone. Information is literally at our fingertips. And just to like further speak on that topic of the interracial fighting between Black women, Black men, Black trans, Black lesbians, Black gays. the murder of Oluwatoyin Salute highlighted that for me, because she was sexually abused and murdered by a black man.
Yep.
Here's a young black girl, she's 19, living in Tallahassee, Florida, literally protesting every day during this moment of civil unrest, and she's literally on the front lines, and then to be killed by someone who she's fighting for.
The very individual.
A black man. The irony in it is daunting, and it really just highlights, as a woman, not only are we fighting white supremacy, we're fighting patriarchy as well. And a lot of men, especially black men, try to downplay that, to say that they don't have a privilege, they're black, they're more likely to perceive police brutality and all of that. At the end of the day, like Edwuan mentioned, we live in a patriarchal society. It's white men, then it's white women, then it's black men, then right under them is black women. So we shoulder and we're walking through fighting oppression at all angles.
Yep.
When we go outside and also when we come home. So that's just something for you guys to sit with and think about when these topics come up, and how we're navigating, and how we need to say, when we say all Black Lives Matter, it's not a means to be divisive or to start any gender wars or things like that. It's really just, we're here too.
It's to help our collective liberation at the end of the day.
At the end of the day. Speaking of protesting, George Floyd's murder has literally, like as Robin mentioned earlier, has galvanized the entire world. We're having nationwide protests all through America and all throughout the world. I've seen protests in Germany, I've seen protests in Paris. And it gives me hope, because it shows that everyone recognizes that there's a problem. But here in America, there's been some mixed reaction to these protests. Some of the protests have been deemed peaceful. Some of them have been deemed violent due to looting or rioting, burning of property and businesses. And I just wanted to know you guys' opinion on, is there a right or wrong way to protest?
Absolutely. There is a right and wrong way to do so.
Okay.
Have your First Amendment right to freedom of assembly and speak on things that you want in the world and what you want to see change in your country. I'm all here for that. I am not a fan when I hear anarchists or people who think even further left than I do, burning down businesses, black businesses usually, burning down residential homes in this process of civil unrest. That's not what's going to free us. That doesn't help any of us. That gives them more power. That gives them a reason to say that we are wrong. That gives them a reason to say that they can be militarized and do the things that they do to keep us oppressed as much as they possibly can. Don't give the establishment the excuse to militarize itself. Period. You're giving them a power that they know that they have and they can't wait to use it, and then you give them the opportunity to use it and wonder why you look stupid at the end, or people lose their lives at the end of it.
So I definitely disagree.
That's all right.
After you have pushed people into a corner and you have pushed people into a hole, I don't think that you can really sit back and say, oh my God, why would they react like that? Or oh my God, why would they burn down businesses? And I think so many people have commented, if you look at black neighborhoods, impoverished neighborhoods, the amount of things that we as black people own in those neighborhoods is slim to none. Mm-hmm. So if you want to burn down the Korean store, if you want to burn down the Middle Eastern gas station, by all means it's fine, they have insurance, it will build again. We cannot rebuild black people. We cannot rebuild our black community, or we can't give somebody their dead son or their dead child back. When it comes to looting, like many people did in a lot of the protests that were around the nation and in different cities, those businesses are going to get that stuff back.
Right.
They're going to be able to rebuild. They'll be able, and I don't feel like the government, even if people did not want people to protest in general, if somebody died, if the police killed 10 black men and we as a black community sat back and said, oh, okay, we'll vote in November. We're not going to say anything right now. We'll tweet or we'll whatever. They would be happy with that, and either way, they would still have something to say about us saying anything.
Right.
So I don't really necessarily feel like, the government is looking at, is going to, I don't think there's anything that we can do to please the government. Whether we sit back and take it.
Never to appease.
Or whether, but that's honestly like how I feel. I don't feel like you can look at it and say, well, that's what they're looking for you to do, or that's an excuse for them to militarize, or they're using that as an excuse. They want to do that anyway. So I think that telling people like, yeah, you need to be nice and you need to go down this street and don't block the highway, don't run up in the neighborhoods, don't set things on fire. Like, no, if that's the only way that I can get them to listen to me at all, if that's the only way that I can get people around the world to see, my thing is go ahead and militarize. So then that way, and it's a lot of black people that have to understand too that the U.S., the way that we use our police, the way that we use our military, that's a lot of what we have done overseas to countries for decades.
Yep.
So if it takes all of that, of them coming into the neighborhoods for people to see like they are not afraid to use that shit overseas, they're not afraid to use it on your black ass over here, you have to, I think, sometimes kind of break against what the norm would be considered. In order to get your point across. So do whatever the hell you have to, as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, I agree with that as well. And it's funny because I say that living in the capital of the Confederacy and seeing the things that they have burned down. When they went and burned down the Daughters of the Confederacy building, here for it. When you go down and burn the Lee Monument and you want to rip down Confederate statues, I'm here for that. What my issue becomes is because of the majority black city that is mostly small businesses and actually is mostly black owned in black owned areas, I have an issue when I specifically see white people who want to peacefully quote unquote protest and then start burning down black businesses. Because you're not helping the cause. You graffitiing BLM on everything isn't helping the cause either. So there is I feel like a level of I don't always agree to disagree, but there is a level of leniency that at least I feel like white people need to take in that respect, because when you walk on that street for us, you are a representation of us, whether you like it or not. And that's how people are going to see you. So when they see you doing the things wrong, they're going to pin that on us.
And then my question to you would be, does it matter if it's pinned on us? They hate us anyway. They're killing us anyway. They shooting us down anyway. So it doesn't matter that we look like violent individuals. I mean, violence begets violence. Nothing is solved if one side is constantly agitating another and the other is what? Nothing.
Right.
Providing pacified reactions. Nothing that the pacified side is doing is going to be heard. They don't give a fuck what you're saying because I'm already beating your ass.
Right.
Once you start fighting back, that's when things start changing. We didn't get out of slavery peacefully.
No.
We got out of slavery by burning plantations down.
I mean, you two pretty much said it. Like, I think it's counterproductive to even try to have that conversation of whether or not like protesters should be being like cordial or whether they should be tearing shit up. Obviously, they should be tearing shit up. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I mean, we could like, honestly, like, I understand the idea of, I'm not really a fan of the outside agitated narrative, but I do agree that there might be some opportunist people that are just trying to go and fuck shit up. But in totality, that really doesn't matter. Like, and there's some white people out there that they're working class people too, and they're allies as well. So if they want to go and put themselves out there and do violent shit, and it's not even real violence, they're just breaking property. Like, the United States and capitalism puts property over human lives. So it's like, people react to burning down businesses and stealing shit as if it's as bad as the people that got killed. Because that's the reaction that you get from people who are tired of seeing people die for bullshit. So like, and this whole country is built off of stealing and killing. So it's like, the colonized people are sick of that shit. So they're gonna react. This is not the end all to revolution, but like, I'm not for telling people like, no, don't do this. There's no alternative. I mean, for people who are telling them that, they're not really presenting an alternative that's going to give them the results.
Right.
Like through all that rowdy shit that's been going on, there's been more, like it's been small, but there's already been some results from that. There's already been talk about, like it's already evolved to definitively talking about defunding and abolishing the police. Before it was just like, yo, everybody just out there wilding. And now people kind of got their shit together to where they're demanding certain shit. And defunding the police being one of those main things. And getting the fucking city council people in Minneapolis to talk about that. So that's a big thing. If they were out there just standing on the sidewalk, not being annoying or not really being, you know, agitating motherfuckers, then we would have had the conversation would never got to this point. So,
Right.
I'm
Like,
for it.
for example, like I think over the weekend, the Wendy's where Rashard Brooks was killed, like it was burned down. You know, and so many people were so quick to be like, "Oh, it was a white woman. It was a white woman." It's like, who gives a fuck? If it was, I don't give a fuck. Who cares who burned down the damn Wendy's? It's a fucking Wendy's. And that Wendy's, you know, like they called the police because he was sleeping in the parking lot. The police, instead of offering the man an Uber or a ride home or anything like of substance, antagonized this man for 40 minutes, shot him in the back, and then decided to step on him. So please forgive me if I don't give a fuck if you gotta go to a Wendy's 10 blocks over in the next neighborhood because somebody burned the windows. Somebody burned the windows down. And like, okay, it's a white woman. And like, what difference does it make because you want them to think like, oh well, no, it wasn't black people that burned the windows down. Why wouldn't you burn the windows down though? Like, this is your community that is being affected. That Wendy's like, yeah. Niggas in the community might have jobs there, but how much are they getting paid? How much, like, how well of a living are they making off of that Wendy's versus how much money that Wendy's is making off of the community? Who gives a fuck if the Wendy's burned down? And you know, and I do understand the point of like, there are black businesses that need to be protected and everything, but I think this was a big point that a lot of people tried to make in Atlanta when T.I. and Killer Mike kind of made the argument about protecting black business and about Atlanta being Wakanda and all that other bullshit. It's like, if you are a black member, if you're a black store owner or a black business owner in that community, and that community does not know you, that community does not know like, hey, don't touch this shit, whatever, that says a lot about you and your interaction with the community. Because just because you are a black person in the community, just because you have a black business in the community does not mean that you are communal. It doesn't mean that you're doing anything for the community. So it's like at the end of the day, if your shit gotta go, your shit gotta go. If you were a real business owner, if it were me, I probably would have slid my ass out there and be like, hey y'all, do y'all need water? Do y'all need anything? By the way, leave this one right here, don't touch it, you know, whatever. And that's just, sometimes that's just what you have to do. But I feel like that is a part of where things kind of are getting like thrown to the wayside, where the issues are kind of like conflating with one another. It's like, yeah, businesses, like I want you to survive as a black business owner, but at the end of the day, if your survival is in any way capping the people that are in the community fighting for lives, then you gotta go. You know, and again, insurance. You a black business owner without insurance, baby, we got a lot more shit to talk about. Like, you know, and I understand it's hard enough for black people to have businesses, but we literally have bigger issues. And if the police are shooting down all the niggas in the street, it ain't gonna be nobody to shop at your goddamn black business.
Right.
You know, so I don't, like, as much as I, like, whatever, and I work in a retail store. I have worked retail for so many parts of my life, and I think about how so many of us are out of jobs right now, and if something, God forbid, had happened to the store I work at, I wouldn't have been able to go to work for 4 months. Okay? At the end of the day, the company is going to have to make it back. They would have rerouted us to other stores. They would have gotten merchandise. We would have been able to ship from home. Like, that is the job of the business owners. These are some of them billion dollar businesses. That's what you get paid to do, is to figure shit out. Figure it out.
Anything you wanted to add? I just wanted to add that, and like in the introduction when I mentioned the entirety of the social climate that we're in, we're literally in the middle of a deadly pandemic, and as Robin mentioned, unemployment is high as hell right now. We're not receiving any sort of relief from the government. We got one stimulus check of $1,200 back in March. We're approaching July.
Mhm.
We still, some states still shut down. People haven't been able to work. People don't know how they're gonna pay their rent, eviction. I read something that predicted that damn near 40% of Americans are about to be evicted.
As of July, yeah.
As of July. So when you pushing someone's back against the wall, they feel like they got nothing to lose, and when you got nothing to lose, you ain't got shit to lose.
Yeah.
So you ready for whatever, and you got that chip on your shoulder. So I just feel like all of those factors play a role in how these protests are playing out nationwide.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, there's more people access than we've ever had in a very, very long
There's been
time.
a lot of celebrity reactions or celebrity commentary on things that's going on. Recently, Trina, she's relevant to us because we're here in Miami and she's a Miami-based person. She has a lot of influence and a lot of ties to the community down here. She recently got on her radio platform and basically called people who were protesting in Miami through rioting and looting. She referred to them as animals. And it's always, she called them animals on behalf of a friend who she said that they rioted or looted her friend's black-owned business. And I just always feel like when you refer to black people as animals, you're taking a page out of maybe the oldest racist book.
Yep.
And it's not only is it irresponsible, it's absolutely disgusting. And it wasn't only the fact that she called called the protesters animals. It was the fact that when she was checked on it, or people was like, whoa, wait, slow down a little bit, she doubled down on her take. And that was even more disappointing to me because it's like, what the fuck, Trina? Robin, I know that you're a big Trina fan, and I just want to know what input do you have to add to it?
I was disgusted. I was hurt. I was disappointed. In addition to being a fan, in addition to being a black woman, being here in Miami and hearing anyone admonish protesters, rioters, and looters and referring to them as animals when Miami has been home to many protests and many riots. Like, Arthur McDuffie was killed on Miami streets and niggas fucked Miami up. The 1968 riots, like, if you have been in Miami for any period of time, Trina is old enough to know that Miami has a history of rioting to get a point across. So the fact that she thought it was appropriate and necessary to refer to people, but to people that more than likely are her fans, have given her a career, have given her the platform that she has, to refer to them as animals, like you said, it was disgusting. And what was even worse, I guess, I don't even know if it was even worse there, I guess they were on equal footing. I think it was Trick made the comment, or someone made the comment about, her interactions with the police, and she said she doesn't have any issues because she has her license and registration. How many black people have we seen killed with their license and registration? Not even have a chance to pull their license and registration out. They don't give a fuck about your license and registration. And so for her to think that whoever she is, because I doubt so many of these Miami police officers, if they are not black, if they're not from Miami, depending on how old they are, they don't give a fuck about a Trina. And that's like the reality of the situation. You can think that you are a Trina, you can think that you are a celebrity, you can think that you are whoever the fuck it is, you can think that you are the Beyonce of Miami. They threaten to boycott Beyonce, so who really are the fuck are you but another black woman that we can also kill and nobody, you better hope that somebody is going to be willing to riot or to make a big deal for your ass. So it was, again, it was disgusting. She knew better. She knew better before she said it. She was just speaking of a place, and I think that she mentioned something about black on black crime, and I know that she feels the type of way because she lost her brother a couple of years ago, I think. But we all know that we are more than likely to be killed by somebody that looks like us and within our community that is everyone. That is whites. That is Asians. Like, you are more likely to be killed by the people that are around you, or more likely to be affected by crime by people that are around you and look like you. That's not what we're arguing now. And even if you want to take it there, you need to be arguing against the system that put somebody in place to feel like shooting your brother was necessary, or your brother being in a situation where him getting shot was necessary. And I'm not victim blaming. I'm just saying, like, if you want to argue against the system, argue against the whole system and not the individuals. Right. You are mad at black people for no reason other than, okay, they ran up in your friend's business. Whatever the fuck your friend is selling is not that goddamn important. Nobody cares, honestly, because if somebody gave a fuck, she wouldn't be worried about it. Like, your sales should be able to combat whatever the hell it is they ran on in there for. Like, it was really stupid. It was really silly. And the fact that after being told, she decided to double down on it, there's nothing else. The apology that she gave after the fact, the two apologies that she gave, as a matter of fact, they don't really matter in the long run, because you said what you felt.
Right. Touch on it only slightly of what Robbie said. Just, man, you can't say the things you say about the community that make sure they hold you up and that make sure that they've given you the life that you currently have. And it's almost like an act of betrayal to say the things that she said, and that's how a lot of people took it. And for her to double down is fairly selfish, because that was a moment for her to learn from the process, and it was a moment for her to check herself and check her biases in that respect, and she didn't do that. But even bigger is with cancel culture altogether. At some point, if I can understand why the apology isn't accepted, because it doesn't feel like it's what should have been. If you double down on what you said and you said, I said what I said and I meant it when I said it, then why should I forgive you?
Right. And I think that where she really messed up, and what a lot of black women need to learn, and not that it's fair, but cancel culture disproportionately affects us the most.
Yep.
Like, that is literally what it is. As a black woman, you are not allowed space to fuck up. And especially when your fans are black women and the people that you are down talking are black women. We are not, it's very easy. We done let so many niggas thrive. Kanye's still out here thriving. It took the government.
I don't know how.
Nobody knows
how.
Nobody knows how.
Because white people love Kanye.
White people do love Kanye. But look how long it took for R. Kelly to, to not be a thing. Russell Simmons had to run out of the country. The Breakfast Club is still allowing him a platform.
Right.
Where's Chrisette Michelle?
Right.
We ain't heard from her since she was talking about that goddamn basketball skirt. Like, it's been silent. It's been dead. So for Trina to think that she is in a position to be in a place where she can say the things that she said really about your core fan base, because Miami is your base. You can say whatever you want about performing, whatever else. If you don't got Miami, you ain't got nothing. So it was very, again, stupid of her, because black women suffer way harsher repercussions. Cancel culture really, in a lot of ways, only mostly applies to black women.
Right.
So
also because black women are the only people canceling anybody. So if your core audience is black women, then it would be best for you to not offend them.
Exactly.
On another celebrity, more recently, J. Cole put out a song, "Snow on the Bluff." Now, I'm gonna be honest, I ain't listening to no motherfucking J. Cole song. That nigga born as fuck, and he think he deep because he got them ugly ass dreads. That don't make you deep, nigga. But anyway.
This is so hurtful.
Anyway.
This is so hurtful. We go through this all the time. This is so hurtful.
I was already falling asleep reading the lyrics. But in the song, J. Cole threw subliminal shots at another rapper who's a woman, a black woman by the name of No Name. And if you don't really have a Twitter, you might not be familiar with No Name and what it is that she brings to the movement at this moment. No Name's a rapper who basically put her career on hold, put a press pause on it, because she's so radicalized by what's going on around her. Mm-hmm. She stopped and wanted, basically in the sense of Colin Kaepernick. She put her career on the line, or on the back burner, to focus on social justice for her people. And No Name has a presence on Twitter in which she has a book club. So she tweets out resources. Her tweets are criticizing capitalism, criticizing celebrity, criticizing wealth, criticizing racism, criticizing sexism, criticizing basically all the institutions that contribute to the plight of black people.
He made references to not liking her tone.
Right.
He made references that, because really what instigated it was closer to the Atlanta protest. She made a tweet about, niggas really making noise about things but not necessarily putting any action behind it. And more recently, she tweeted about, if you want the information to basically read a book, to go find it, to Google, to research. So J. Cole's song, which I did listen to, took the stance of he did not like her tone, and that she, by telling people to go read and to go find information, she's coming from a place of privilege.
And she's acting holier than thou.
That was also mentioned. So, and again,
it's just so much to unpack in that.
Yeah, big disappointment in J. Cole as a fan and as a black woman, because we are constantly, number one, being told, not just by white people, but also by people in our communities, and not just people in our communities, sometimes people in our family, that we need to watch our tone, we need to present things in a more palatable way, we need to make things soft. And I got to a point really in adulthood and in womanhood where I was like, yeah, that's just not the fuck happening. If you don't, I may, again, make things professional, I'm not gonna make things soft. And I feel like that's two completely different conversations that we're having. No Name, telling niggas, again, to get off the soapbox, to get out from your house, to get into the streets, and which is another reason why I don't know why J. Cole felt it necessary to say anything, because J. Cole is in the street, so she was not talking to you.
Right.
So here you are taking up defense of another man or another person that you didn't feel like she was talking to for no reason. And how many of those men have you called out? Because you're on record telling us to pray for XXXTentacion, wherever the fuck he may be in hell. You're on there telling us to pray for 6ix9ine, who's also like another predator. We have to pray for these people, but No Name has to watch her tone. I don't understand it. And then to say that she's coming from a place of privilege, like, again, if you know, and a lot of people, thank you, a lot of people are not going to, if you're not on Twitter or familiar with social media, you're not going to know that No Name was called out by a lot of woke people that she was trying to appeal to, because she was on the front of black capitalism. People had to take her and sit her down and say, no girl, that's not the way. This is the conversation that we're having. We're going towards black liberation.
Right.
Whatever. So she also has had to learn. There's not a privilege that she has. And me telling you to go pick up a book, you especially as Mr. Rapper, Millionaire, Sir, Mr. Whoever with eyes, because people will bring it to the conversation of, conscious rapper, whatever. People bring it to the conversation of literacy in the black community. Absolutely, literacy is a problem in the black community, and the resources that we're given in the black community. You, Mr. Rapper, don't have that issue though.
Right.
And if you feel that that is so much of an issue for black people, then buy books.
You got the money and the funds to be able to fix that.
I just felt like
Get books for niggas.
I just felt like J. Cole was coming from a place of insecurity.
Yeah.
Because men often are intimidated. They won't like to admit it, or they'll try to downplay it. But men are often intimidated by women who are intelligent, women who are sure of themselves, and women who once you're sure of yourself, more than anything, that's confidence. Because our society does not encourage confidence in women.
Yeah.
Once you come across a confident woman who's intelligent, who's well-read, there's not much that you can say to her.
Right.
There's not much that you can do to bring, like, quote unquote, humble her, or bring her down so that she's submissive, quote unquote, submissive. I just feel like it was just it's a lot of things, but more than anything is out of pocket.
Yeah.
And that energy that you're directing to someone who's actually out here
Doing the work.
doing work, and that's not to say J. Cole isn't doing the work either, because there's pictures of him at protests.
Like patriarchy over liberation on this.
It's like I would rather put my energy into keeping and maintaining my dominance over this individual rather than focusing on the collective energy I should be putting into liberating my people as a whole.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you mean to tell me that No Name is actually doing the work of providing legitimate resources, like legitimate actual text and scholarly text for you to read, and it's, oh well, I don't like the way she told
said
us
nice enough.
Yeah, That shit is just stressful as fuck. And it goes back to what I was saying earlier. It was just like watching a celebrity do what I see my peers do. It's just like, you coming from a gaslighting angle when it's just like the timing is terrible with all that's going on and the women that are dying right now. Like, you want to make a song about
Be nicer
like,
to me?
Yeah, like, it's just clownery, like, and just the assumption that No Name was privileged and shit when she really was in the position that he is in right now of just getting checked. So it's like, right now is his opportunity to take this and do something with it. And if he just continues on his bullshit, then it goes.
And look at the difference of reaction from one person receiving that criticism towards him receiving that criticism.
Exactly.
But that's also because, and like maybe you mentioned this earlier, like Black women, we know we have to take things in stride. Like I have to be open to criticism. I have to be open to learning and growing, or else I will get left behind by the wayside. People will always leave space to leave Black women behind. And that is white people in the workplace, that is Black people in the community and in homes. Like if a Black woman has proven that she is not willing to grow, or she's not willing to, you know, take whatever criticism and do whatever, she will get left. You can look at, again, like Monique.
My thing with the whole J. Cole thing, a lot of people don't even realize what he did. What was wrong with what he did.
Right.
I see a lot of the reaction of, well, he didn't say nothing wrong. He called her a queen. All he said was, all he wanted for her to do was
for her to change her tone and
be
it's
nicer.
like, yeah. And even the people that are giving criticism is like, oh well, y'all hating and y'all trying to kill something. It's like, nigga, no. Like I'm still gonna bump Sideline Story. I'ma still bump Born Center. Like I'ma still whatever. But he got to stand in that paint right now because he put himself there. Because nobody was reaching out. Honestly, nobody was looking like, oh, what is J. Cole saying?
Right.
Like I think that we are now in a collective state, and I hope that we get to this point where we are no longer looking to celebrities for opinions. We're no longer looking to them for help. We're not doing it.
Right.
Because whenever y'all are asked, very few of y'all, whenever y'all are asked to do something, you either say something stupid, you don't do shit, you know, you give just enough money or whatever for a tax write-off, but you're not doing anything like of substance or of value. Like people have really had to look to each other in this time of being unemployed, of being sick, of being dying, of being shot by the police. Nobody is looking like, damn, I wonder what J. Cole is thinking right now. We ain't asked you for that.
His white side is shown. You know, biracials that have white moms, like they be a bit more weirder. That may be a problematic opinion to have, but Doja Cat, Drake, J. Cole, y'all been proving my point.
Torpedo.
The next thing that I wanted to discuss, which is celebrity activism. And I just wanted to know, how do you guys feel about celebrities taking the role of being our voices for social change?
Open your purse.
Go ahead, Luke.
Start there, yeah.
Like, celebrities, they need to not do that. Like, celebrities are just representatives of the bourgeoisie class, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So everything they say is just...
We got a Marxist in the house.
Oh yeah. Everything they say is just to pretty much uphold all that shit. They're not, they serve, their role is to, the role they serve is to just, you know, keep shit, you know, nice. They're not here to radicalize people. They're not here to, you know, make people think. They kind of just here to quell people's anger and say shit and just misdirect people, honestly. Like,
Exactly.
Most of the time.
even like Jay-Z, like Jay-Z is the freaking poster boy of capitalism. So it's like, I've been listening to Reason Without Hella, and he was telling us on that album like the conflict that he was dealing with, but you knew where he was going was to become a capitalist. He just letting you know like, fuck it, this shit is, the evils is bringing him down. Like we can't hold him accountable for what he's about to do. So now he's at a point where he's got $1 billion, or him and Beyonce collectively have $1 billion, and they're just like, obviously the intention for them is, you know, to hoard that wealth and to be able to give it to the family or do whatever things they think will be beneficial for them, and somewhere in their mind think that somehow will benefit the black community, like via proxy or some shit. But
I just feel like in regards to celebrities, Malcolm X said it best. Only in the black community is a singer, an athlete, or a performer looked to as some sort of intellectual scholar or radical radical change agent. And you know, they're not someone that we need to look to give us social commentary to radicalize us. As Luke said, they're agents of capitalism. Our subjugation directly benefits them. So of course they're not going to outright speak on things that would 100% liberate us, unless they're ready to renounce or denounce the platform that they're put on, a la Colin Kaepernick, a la Amaya Bourne, a la No Name on a smaller scale, because she wasn't as famous as or successful in terms of how large her platform in regards to like Colin Kaepernick and even so Maya Moore, a famous WNBA player who basically retired so that she could fight for social justice.
When I say open your purse, I don't mean open your purse to Sean King. I mean open your purse to people that are actually like doing the work.
Don't just give it to Sean King.
Don't just give it to Sean King. Don't give it to
Let's cancel Sean King.
Somebody, because he's white. That is a white man.
And D-Ray.
Sean King is a white man. And I don't care if his daddy was not around. That does not make his daddy black. Sean King is a white man. Y'all are giving y'all money to a grifting white man. And it's very easy for celebrities to give money to people like Sean King because they feel like that is a safe way of activism. They don't actually have to read. They don't actually have to learn. They don't actually have to do any type of work. So open your purse means literally go into the communities and give your money to the people that have been doing the actual work. Not the people that are on TV calling themselves activists, not the people that are propping up reform and like all these other, like, take the time as a celebrity. You a celebrity, you in your house. You ain't giving no content right now, you ain't acting right now, you ain't doing shit right now. Read a book. Learn for yourself. Get out and get to know the people that have been doing the work of prison abolition and police abolition for years. That have been doing the work of trying to feed black children and save homeless people in the community for years, because there are people there. Instead of taking the safe route and saying, oh, okay, well, Sean King made a video, so I'm gonna just give money to him.
Right.
I'm gonna give money to the NAACP. I'm gonna give money to a Black Lives Matter institution that you have no idea where the money is actually going, or if they're actually organized, or like whatever. Like, all of our unemployed asses were giving money to bail funds. You know,
let's discuss the corporatization of the Black Lives Matter movement. So right now we're seeing a lot of corporations do these social media campaigns where they're posting the black squares and posting black people and saying we love niggas too, and now they're canceling Aunt Jemima's syrup, and you know they're painting streets saying Black Lives Matter. They've renamed.
Mayor Bowser did that in DC.
They also did it in Detroit.
And they did it in Flint.
They did, oh yeah, Flint. Not Detroit. I'm sorry. And I just want you guys to discuss like corporate brands incorporating the message of Black Lives Matter into their content.
It's a necessary feature of capitalism to co-opt radical movements.
Thank you. My literal words, yes.
So that's just like one of the main tactics that they're gonna do whenever some shit pops up that's progressive or radical. They're gonna fucking adopt that shit to save themselves, to save their image, and also to like slow down.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so like you said about it being like a tool for them to co-opt it, because what it's giving corporations is an easy out, and it's keeping them from being canceled, technically. Like, oh, well, we're gonna post Black Lives Matter, or we're gonna say this, so then that way black people will still feel okay shopping with us. And it's
or
like,
it panders to the white allies to be able to continue.
Exactly, to say, okay, well, you have to still support them because they supported Black Lives Matter. Again, like I said, it's an easy way out. It's like, all right, well, what we're going to do is we're going to take Black Lives Matter because white people see it as being scary and alienating and divisive, and we're going to make it cute, and we're going to make it nice, and we're going to put it on Etsy cups, and we're going to put it on mats, and we're going to put it on car stickers.
Don't glorify and paternalize and like materialize my oppression.
Please. And so then that way people can feel comfortable saying it, people can feel comfortable looking, and then we really don't have to do anything. we can still work with the police and nobody's going to look at us crazy. We can still give money to these government agencies or to these politicians that are not doing anything. Like, we can still have our hands in all of the pockets that we would like,
Right.
but we don't actually have to do any real.
I don't want to make a general statement, but when I see black people reposting like, oh, look at this company, they said Black Lives Matter, or they reposting like the streets being painted black, like, yes, this is a win for us. What material win is this for us?
Right.
I want people to realize that these are ways to pacify you.
Mm-hmm.
These are insidious ways to give you something while giving you absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
I want to say that kneeling is the powerful stance that Colin took while kneeling during the national anthem. Has the power has been stripped from it.
Yeah.
When you have politicians kneeling in Capitol Hill to show respect to George Floyd, who was killed by an officer that kneeled on him, do they not see how ironic that is? Why are you kneeling to show respect to George Floyd when the officer literally kneeled him to death? Thank you guys for tuning into the Black Sheep Show. I'm glad you guys tuned in for the first episode of the relaunch. The Real is back.